God morgon Sverige! Good morning!
And Selamat Sore to Indonesia. Selamat Datang, welcome everyone.
Excellencies, business leaders, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, friends. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused socioeconomic disruptions in both Indonesia and Sweden, exposing weaknesses and vulnerabilities in virtually all sectors and countries. With measures being taken, coupled with vaccine rollouts, there is, however, reason to be optimistic about a speedy recovery in both Sweden and Indonesia, in the region and in the world. To support the recovery, implementation of the Indonesian roadmap, Making Indonesia 4.0, is crucial. Implementation requires collaborative actions among multiple stakeholders that range from government institutions, associations, industry players, and academia. To support these plans and to promote smart manufacturing and guidelines for the 5G ecosystem, Sweden can draw from its own experiences and from know-how of its private sector. Transferring of this digital know-how, coupled with adequate investments in digital infrastructure quality and digital skills, will enable entrepreneurship to thrive. I'm therefore glad that this fifth and final day of SISP will be dedicated to how we together can build this foundation for the future of manufacturing Indonesia. I wish you all great success in networking and the forming of new business collaborations during this final day of SISP. Thank you for your attention, thank you for attending, and thank you all for strengthening the relations between Indonesia and Sweden.
Today, we will focus on the digitalization and modernization of the manufacturing industry to increase the international competitiveness of Indonesia. This is a new addition to the Sweden-Indonesia partnership, and we are excited to discuss how Sweden can support the Indonesian government's Making Indonesia 4.0 program.
For this session, the Minister of Industry of Indonesia will join us, as well as the CEO of Business Sweden, who will be sharing his insights and driving sustainable innovation in the private sector in Sweden.
Thereafter, we will proudly introduce an alliance of some of the finest Swedish technology providers with dedication to Indonesia and solutions within the areas of Internet of Things, smart manufacturing, big data, and artificial intelligence.
Companies like Ericsson, Hexagon, Atlas Copco, Syntronic, and SKF will, together with Indonesian industry stakeholders, examine how international competitiveness of Indonesia can be increased by utilizing 5G technology in the manufacturing industry.
From Indonesia, organizations such as Farma, Xapiens, Kimia, Farma, Sungwun, Ministry of Communication and Informatics, and Jababeka Infrastructure will all share their perspectives on the digitalization of the manufacturing industry. Together, we will define how to best utilize the SISP Industry 4.0 Alliance in line with the sustainable development in Indonesia.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to present to you our first keynote speaker, His Excellency Agus Gumiwang Kartasasmita, Minister of Industry of Indonesia. Minister Kartasasmita, with his extensive academic background and long political career, will be able to contribute with valuable thoughts and perspectives to our discussion on Industry 4.0. Minister, the word is yours.
Her Excellency Marina Berg, Ambassador of Sweden to Indonesia, speakers, panelists, and moderators, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. It has been an honor for Indonesia to have Sweden as our strategic partner in industrial development. It is my wish that this partnership will cherish and strengthen by seeking breakthroughs in bilateral cooperation between our two nations. Starting in 2011, the world has entered the fourth generation industrial revolution, which is widely known as the Industrial Revolution 4.0, which is characterized by increasing connectivity, interaction, and increasingly convergent boundaries between humans, machines, and other resources through information and communication technology. Implementation of Industry 4.0 is the main global agenda, and Indonesian government to develop the economy in the context of the manufacturing industry. Considering increasing consumer demand and market globalization, there is an increasing need for companies to strengthen their competitive advantage. Implementing digitalization in the manufacturing process enables better monitoring throughout the process and ultimately increases efficiency, quality, transparency, and flexibility while reducing energy, space, staff, and material consumption. This week's program provides an opportunity to renew Indonesia and Sweden commitment to manage public and business cooperation to help realize a greener and more sustainable economy. Last year, Prime Minister Larsson stated that the pandemic we are all facing reminds us of the importance of working together in international solidarity across borders to find ways to jointly address our most pressing global challenges: the pandemic, the climate crisis, economic recovery, and widening inequalities. Establishing green, sustainable, and technologically advanced manufacturing processes through meaningful and measurable change is needed for Indonesia. This has become ever more important, especially in the face of disruptions brought and inequalities made clearer by COVID-19. Both our countries must foster more effective multi-sectoral conversations to generate responsive, inclusive, and sustainable investment. This will help create more resilient industries bringing together intellectual and financial capital to revitalize national and local economies ravaged by the pandemic. Indonesia and Sweden's government, as well as business leaders, should take to heart three important lessons. First, a shift is needed away from long-held norms. As leaders in our fields, we can help accelerate the move from linear economies in which raw materials are turned into finished goods that are eventually dumped and replaced to circular economies, which aim to redefine and eliminate waste and encourage constant use of resources to benefit businesses, society, and the environment. Specific areas of focus include safe and affordable housing, environmental impact reduction, access to inclusive green spaces, and sustainable transport systems. Asia's government and business leaders must commit to a greening of their cities. This, as I have been informed, will also be discussed during this week-long forum. Second lesson, as leaders, we must learn from the successes and failures of past and ongoing efforts to shift to more sustainable economies. Intriguingly, several nations have already incorporated environmentally conscious measures into stimulus-related infrastructure measures. And third lesson, build upon Industry 4.0 lessons as a contributor to the Sustainable Development Goals, including the supply chain, distribution channels, manufacturing, provides a significant impact on the natural environment, leading to reduction of pollution, decrease in greenhouse gases emission, decrease in energy consumption, and increase in profits simultaneously. The emergence of Industry 4.0 opens the opportunity of connectivity of technology with resources and skills in terms of sustainability benefits, zero impact, lower cost, social equity. Additionally, it helps to leverage a greater efficiency of function. For example, reduction of resource consumption. Therefore, Industry 4.0 might contribute sustainability to develop digital sustainable operation, allowing to meet SDGs goals, and furthermore, increasing development of smart technologies is envisaged as affecting sustainability. We are no longer at crossroads, but we are on a highway to economic recovery and prosperity. It all goes back to us. Do we want to take slow lane or the fast lane? Making Indonesia 4.0 is our answer to shifting gears in accelerating our industry and economic performance towards being a global leader in manufacturing. I strongly believe that we can learn from each other, work together, and prosper together, so long as the great minds from our two countries can share each other's strength. Excellency, distinguished guests, furthermore, I would like to highlight that next year, for Indonesian G20 presidency in the year of 2022, we open ourselves to be the voice of aspiration of countries, especially non-G20 developing countries, with the theme, Recover Together, Recover Stronger. Indonesia have three missions. First, we must strengthen global access to health, especially to vaccine and medicine for COVID. Second, accelerate digital transformation. And third, creating a more sustainable environment through implementing green industry agenda. Lastly, it is my unrelenting hope that throughout this week, we can continue to build collaboration and cooperation in the advancement of Industry 4.0 and sustainable manufacturing processes to encourage industrial and economic growth towards a more prosperous world community. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. A shift is needed towards sustainable economies, and Indonesia's Industry 4.0 will support this shift. And Sweden stands ready to support Indonesia through the developing of and to support Indonesia in developing our relationship. We thank you very much, and we look forward to continue our collaboration in the upcoming years.
Our next keynote speaker is Jan Larsson, who serves as the CEO of Business Sweden. Business Sweden's mission is to help Swedish companies grow global sales and international companies invest and expand in Sweden. Jan has previously been State Secretary at the Prime Minister's Committee and held various senior management positions in global financial and consultancy organizations like Handelsbanken, Nordea, McKinsey, and Brunswick. Mr. Jan, you have the word.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, thank you very much, first of all, for inviting me to this closing day of the SISP. It is a true honor to share this kickoff with you, Minister Gumiwang, and I was very taken by your remarks in starting this whole event. Especially, I will bring with me your three lessons, and I certainly can subscribe to all the concluding targets that you voiced. Zero impact, lower cost, and social equity, that should really be good targets for everything that we do. I truly hope that Sweden and Indonesia can join forces also in this endeavor, and not only in the business subjects that we are to discuss here. It was a very good experience also to spend a few days at the COP26. It was strikingly apparent that the business world has passed a tipping point where at least progressive companies are now totally focused on how to make products, services, but also production methods into a sustainable and climate-friendly fashion going forward. They do not only do that because they want to participate in saving the planet. Equally important, or maybe even more important, is the single fact that I hope you have all heard of Greta, the small girl that 5 years ago started to protest against climate change. She was sitting alone outside of the Swedish parliament for a few months before she suddenly was joined by a lot of other activists across the globe. Now Greta is not alone anymore, because after the activists came the scientists, and after the scientists came the consumers, and after the consumers came other companies, and after the companies came the investors, and now we have the climate change discussed in virtually every boardroom and every CEO management team across the globe in all large industry companies. That was strikingly apparent in the Swedish pavilion when we were hearing industry leaders basically stating that regardless of what the politicians would conclude, they would continue their striving for a better climate neutral production method. It was also very impressive to see Indonesia's pledges for deforestation and decarbonization on the COP26. And let me assure you, first of all, that we want to support the Indonesian ambition, particularly during the upcoming G20 and ASEAN presidencies. And now, after COP26, we have had a great bilateral week between our two countries. It was great to hear about the possibilities that Swedish technology can create in running airports remotely, and how that can make a big difference in increasing the economic herd about airports developments and bus electrification. Also, we are excited to launch the Swedfund study on the Jakarta's bus electrification and support the ambitious plans that Indonesia has for a more sustainable and green metropolis in Southeast Asia. In the energy field, we are proud to engage in the President's plans for renewable energy development and look forward to seeing concrete results and developments from the SISP Renewable Energy Alliance. And finally, regarding the blue economy, we do look forward to continuing the started collaboration on a roadmap for Indonesia's blue economy, and look forward to seeing how Swedish new technologies like that from EcoBarge can make a difference in its realization. And still, the best is hopefully yet to come, and that is today. Innovation is at the very core of Swedish industry capabilities. Looking at international rankings, Sweden is one of the countries in the world that ranks in the very top on creating new ideas and innovations. For example, global indexes such as Global Innovation Index and R&D spending in relation to GDP both have Sweden as one of the top markets in the world. We are very glad and proud of that. Today, we will be exploring how Sweden and Indonesia can collaborate towards more innovation and a sustainable and more internationally competitive manufacturing industry in Indonesia. To this end, I'm proud that some of our very finest companies have chosen to invest in Indonesia and to see how their technologies and solutions can support the making of Indonesia's 4.0 program. Later today, you will hear companies such as Ericsson discuss the true potentials of 5G, which in reality will be just as powerful as the focus on climate and climate impact in production methodology. When the new connectivity will be paired with the ambition to reduce emissions in production, we will see another great leap forward in production methodology and also on the issues of reducing climate effects. Atlas Copco, Hexagon, and SKF will introduce the very latest technology development within artificial intelligence, big data, and 5G connectivity in the manufacturing industry. Syntronic will discuss how a tailored approach to developing IoT solutions, Internet of Things solutions, can have a huge impact on competitiveness. And let me conclude by making a few reflections on sustainability. The Swedish government has set ambitious goals for sustainability, including going fossil-free by 2045 and 100% renewable energy. Business has to do its part, which creates opportunities for creativity and innovation. This week has highlighted great opportunities to be strengthened in the field of renewable energy and energy efficiency. This includes waste to energy to support sustainable development. Another important sector is construction, which accounts for a significant part of the global energy use. I know that Indonesia's ambitions are high when it comes to urban development and infrastructure projects, exemplified by the plans for establishing a new capital. A smart city must both meet the challenges of today's as well as the needs of future generations in terms of digital, social, environmental, and economic aspects, just as you, Minister, was alluding to. I have no doubt that Swedish companies have valuable know-how and technology that would be an excellent use for the development of new urban areas and infrastructure projects. To conclude, I'd like to particularly highlight the fact that many Swedish companies have committed to zero carbon emission. This needs to be supported from all levels, including with Indonesia as a production base. This framework, creating supportive policies and regulations for companies, will allow Indonesia to attract more foreign direct investment, as well as for Swedish companies to invest more into Indonesia as a market. And if we can join forces and enter into the great leap forward that sustainability and climate change will present to us, if we manage to see climate change not only as a threat, but also as a promise of technological focus and innovative solutions, we will also see the business opportunities that are in actually being ahead of the pack in developing technology, production methods, and products that will meet the requirements of the future. Thank you very much for listening, and I do look forward to answering any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Jan, and I must say it's truly inspiring to hear your reflections after COP26 and how the whole world is now gearing up to support the sustainability journey for all of us. I do have a couple of follow-up questions to you. Maybe starting with this. Today, the focus of this week of SISP is to identify how Sweden and Indonesia can cooperate towards Industry 4.0. So, in what areas do you believe that Sweden has the technologies and capabilities to support Indonesia?
That is naturally a very, very good question to kick off this day with. I think that the whole concept of Industry 4.0 is very strongly connected to innovation. So maybe we can start on the whole notion of what innovation means today in global business. I saw this very interesting survey the other week that was focusing on innovation. It was a survey that was asked and answered by basically CEOs and business leaders across the globe. 85% of these business leaders stated that innovation was extremely important for the success of their organizations in the future. And actually very rarely you would hear so many people say that something is extremely important. But right now, innovation is really in the center. Now, the interesting thing was that the next question asked was, are you satisfied with the way you innovate? And the answer to that was that only 6% of these business leaders across the globe were satisfied with the way they innovated. So 85% thought that this was super important for them, but only 6% were satisfied with the way they were doing. It's like a sleepless index. 79%, the gap in between, are actually waking up every morning, I think, or in the middle of the night even, and fearing that they will lag behind in something, innovation, that is extremely important for the success of their organizations. And naturally, when 8 out of 10 CEOs of this world wake up every night thinking that they have to become more efficient in innovation, they will go to work and they will unleash all the researchers and all the engineers to address this very issue. And paired with the fact that we all focus now on climate change, I'm absolutely certain that what they will tell these engineers is to go look for more innovative and climate-friendly solutions. When that happens, the other kind of historical learning will kick in, because when all these engineers are focusing on how to make these processes better, they will also see that, this step here in the production line can be made a bit more clever. This can become more efficient. And at the end of the day, I would be very surprised if it's not going to end up with both much more climate-friendly production, but also much more efficient and cheap production methods. So at the end of the day, in many areas, I think we're going to find both cheaper products and more environmental friendly or climate friendly products. And that will truly revolutionize the way that we look upon industry and the way that we look upon companies and the future. So Internet of Things is booming on top of this, especially naturally in the manufacturing industry, and where companies like Simtronic and Hexagon have solutions and can make the most out of this technology. And of course, Ericsson is another company that will really play into your question, with a very long history in Indonesia, not only enabling the Industry 4.0 agenda through the infrastructure, but also making sure that the communication infrastructure can maximize all the benefits that are out there for industries. A couple of other examples of large Swedish companies in this that have innovations on automation, big data, cloud computing, and advanced productions methods are naturally SKF and Atlas Copco. So I'm really happy that all these companies are here to join the SISP Industry 4.0 Alliance, and I'm really glad that they will contribute also in developing all these grand ambitions that Indonesia has.
I think we should add then to this list of purpose for the Industry 4.0 Alliance that no CEO in Indonesia should be one of those that wake up in the middle of the night fearing to lag behind in terms of innovation. I truly believe that together we can achieve that. And I think this SISP Week is very much about sharing our experiences. So what is your take on how Sweden drives innovation in the private sectors? What lessons can be learned, and which ones are relevant for Indonesia?
I really think, first of all, the biggest lesson is exactly the kind of sleepless gap that you have to understand that the Nobel Prize winner Bob Dylan once wrote a song where the text, this was a long time ago, but when the text was basically the times they are changing, the first one now will later be last. And I think that was probably true when he wrote it in the 60s, but it's even more true now, 60 years later. The first one now will later be last. I think that is the essence of waking up in the middle of the night as a CEO, being successful today, but understanding that tomorrow is another day, and next year will be a totally different year because change is happening so very, very fast. One of the things that I think is important when we look back and try to understand why these planets, just these years, are actually lining up for Sweden, because we have we have climate change, which is something that Sweden has worked with for quite some time. We have innovation, where Swedish companies have proven to be in the forefront, but also politics has proven to actually foster an environment where R&D expenses are at the top of every international ranking. And we have digitalization, where naturally companies like Ericsson have helped us to be in the forefront. And when these three planets now are lining up, it's very, very advantageous for Sweden, I think. So we need to kind of think about that. But what I think has been, and we need to be very humble as well, because also for us, it's true that the first one now will later be last. But at the same time, I think we can draw some conclusions from that. One is that it's all about collaboration. We have for quite some time in the Swedish society tried to put effort into collaborating between the big kind of power areas. We have the companies, we have the universities and academia, and we have the state authorities. When all these three are focusing on actually driving the country towards more innovative solutions and constant improvement, I think that we unleash quite a lot of power. Now, this is naturally attempted in many countries, but I think you constantly need to strive at actually developing those methodologies. Because if you start seeing that there is a clash between, or that business and states are working in different directions, then you will miss out of the fact that all these engineers that I was speaking about are now actually focusing on doing good things, because global industry is really becoming part of the solution, not as maybe they used to be once upon a time part of the problem. So I think that is very, very important. We've also found in Sweden that a prioritization and focus on education is very, very important. Naturally, that is important both to drive innovation in the way that we need to ensure that the best actually students from the school system are also brought into research. But it's also very, very important to foster change, because naturally change is what you need, but change is also very, very difficult, and it's also often driving a lot of fear in populations. If you have the idea that you can actually help those that may suffer from change, that is, may be hit by unemployment when industry with old technology is taken down, if you can offer them the hope of being educated and actually be able to take on the new jobs that will arise when the old is teared down and the new is built up, if you can help them by education to embrace that, they will also be much more positive to embrace change and to support you in the endeavor to actually be ahead of the pack in the development that we see right now. So I really hope that Swedish companies not only bring with them innovation and technology, but also the support to people to actually develop via education and come into capacity building programs and other things in order to be able to take on the new jobs that hopefully Swedish companies can create in Indonesia.
Thank you so much. Collaboration and education, and I know and I'm sure that they will get into it later today. Some of the companies that are now joining this alliance are very much engaged in capacity building efforts in Indonesia and committed to help drive these issues as well. Thank you so much, John, for taking the time to join us today and share your perspectives on sustainability, on the Swedish industry and private sector and what it can offer to Indonesia. We're so glad to have had you here. Thank you.
It was certainly my pleasure, and I'm very glad and honored to be invited to participate in this very, very important session.
A key factor to increase the international competitiveness of Indonesia will be the modernization and digitalization of its manufacturing industry. And to address this, the Indonesian government has developed, as you've heard, a roadmap for Industry 4.0. That includes nationwide digital infrastructure development, technology investments, and government incentives.
And during the past year's dialogues about the continued development of SISP, Industry 4.0 has come up as a new area for us to explore. We have agreed that given the strong innovative position of Swedish industries and good collaboration through SISP, the possibility for mutually beneficial collaboration is big also in this area.
As a result of these discussions, we are now ready to launch one of the most important initiatives of the SISP collaboration so far, the SISP Industry 4.0 Alliance. The Alliance is a gathering of some of the finest Swedish technology providers dedicated to Indonesia and with solutions in the areas of Internet of Things, smart manufacturing, big data, and artificial intelligence. These companies stand ready to engage with industry stakeholders and work together to increase the international competitiveness of Indonesia by utilizing 5G technology to fast-track the development in the manufacturing industry.
The participants of the alliance are Atlas Copco. Atlas Copco is a pioneer and driver of technology within industrial equipment such as vacuum solutions, generators, pumps, power tools and assembly systems supporting the development of smart manufacturing. Hexagon. Hexagon is a global leader in digital reality solutions, combining sensors, software and autonomous technologies for manufacturing, infrastructure and mobility applications.
SKF. SKF combines expertise from development, design and manufacturing of bearings, seals and lubrication systems, and provides machine health assessment, engineering and remanufacturing services. Ericsson. Ericsson has a portfolio spanning networks, digital services, managed services and emerging business. These solutions help customers to go digital, increase efficiency and find new revenue streams.
And Syntronic. Syntronic is a prominent engineering design house specializing in the design and development of electronics, electromechanics, embedded software and IT software. So these are the technology providers of the SISP Industry 4.0 Alliance. We look forward to working together with these companies and industry stakeholders to accelerate the Making Indonesia 4.0 program towards increased international competitiveness for Indonesian manufacturing. Okay, we will now take a short break, and when we come back, representatives from key industry stakeholders will join the alliance companies for panel discussions on how to make the most out of this alliance. See you soon.
See you soon.
Believe it or not, the sustainability shift is on. Vision is becoming reality. Many of you all around the world are working hard to make this happen. Thank you. Thank you, scientists, for pointing out what's happening to our planet and what we need to do about it. Thank you, creative souls, for ideas and inventions bold enough to make a real difference. Thanks to all of you who embraced them, building sustainable businesses that the next generation supports and might even like to work for one day. Thank you, change agents, for actively choosing to live and consume in more sustainable ways. Thank you, leaders, for showing courage. Ambitious climate goals help us drive change on all levels in every corner of the world. Because our emissions are your emissions, and yours are ours. Let's make this transformation the greatest collab in human history. Together, we can pave new ways forward.
Welcome back, everyone. Exploring the Making Indonesia 4.0 roadmap, we'll now have a panel discussion to learn where the Indonesian manufacturing industry is heading, how the Swedish solutions can contribute, and what should be the next steps to accelerate development. We will now play a video to introduce the Swedish companies that would join us in this discussion.
Manufacturers today are looking for smarter ways to improve quality and productivity. Hexagon is a global leader in digital solutions that create autonomous connected ecosystems where data is connected seamlessly, converging the physical and digital worlds and building intelligence into all processes. Exalt, Hexagon's framework for using IoT data to accelerate digital transformation, provides a base of technologies like cloud computing and artificial intelligence, which enable our smart manufacturing solutions. Hexagon's Manufacturing Intelligence division is digitally transforming manufacturing by converging design and engineering, production and metrology solutions to make our customers' factories smarter. Our design and engineering solutions use computer-aided engineering techniques to simulate reality, so quality is embedded into product design and manufacturability is guaranteed. Our production solutions include CNC simulation and computer-aided manufacturing software that ensure design intent is maintained through the production process, improving productivity and delivering high-quality components. Our metrology sensors capture real-world data for positioning and inspection, while metrology software provides actionable information through advanced analytics and intuitive reporting. Hexagon's expertise in sensor technologies, software and data orchestration enables autonomous connected ecosystems for suppliers and customers, improving quality and productivity by making your factory smarter.
It is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Dini Fronitasari to moderate our panel on digitalization. Ibu Dini currently serves as the government officer at BRIN, the Indonesian National Research and Innovation Agency. During her tenure in BRIN, she has introduced a task force team in developing a national artificial intelligence strategy for the future. With vast experience from the telecommunication industry, Ibu Dini is also a much appreciated lecturer in ICT universities in Indonesia. Ibu Dini, you have the word.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Marina Berg. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to the committee for trusting me to be part of the Sweden-Indonesia Sustainability Partnership Week 2021 event. I am invited as the moderator for this panel discussion of Sweden-Indonesia Collaborative Action to accelerate in the Making Indonesia 4.0. Hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce myself. My name is Dini Fronitasari from the National Research and Innovation Agency of Republic Indonesia, and I will guide of our discussion in this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, Ministry of Industry has designed the Making Indonesia 4.0 as an integrated roadmap to implement several strategies to enter Industry 4.0 era. The roadmap requires collaborative action among multiple stakeholders from government, institution, association, and industrial players. Two literal elements. Indonesia has the strong desire to be manufacturing hub in the South Asia by becoming the leading country on the industry infrastructure. Making Indonesia 4.0 is currently in progress. The government has set the 10 national priority for the program entitled Making Indonesia 4.0, an integrated roadmap to implement a number of strategies. There are the first priority is to fix the flow of material, and the second, redesigning the industry zone by building a map for the national industry zone, and the third is the accommodating the sustainability standard through the global sustainability trends such as electrical power vehicles, and then empowering in the 3.7 million small and medium-sized enterprise. And the 5 is building a national digital infrastructure supported by a 5G network, and then attracting foreign investment by targeting renewable global manufacturing companies, and improving the quality of Indonesia human resources, forming an innovation-based ecosystem through of development of research development, and introducing incentives for technological investment such as tax exemption or subsidies for the adoption of certain technologies. And lastly, to realize the fourth industrial revolution in the harmonization of regulation and policy. And this session, Swedish company will present some use case in their manufacture and the connectivities to inspire local stakeholders to move toward digitalization. The issue in our discussion would be about what are the steps, what is the potential collaboration, and what will be cooperate. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say once more on behalf of this discussion, it is great to see many of you here. And for your information, all presentation could be downloaded from Sweden-Indonesia Sustainability Partnership website. Well, I don't want to take much of your time. It is honor for me to have a chance to meet and have discussion with incredible panelists. Let me introduce to you our 5 panelists. In the first is Mr. Heru Kustanto, Head of Center Industrial Technology, Utilization, Optimization, and Industrial Service Policy, Ministry of Industry. Hello, Mr. Heru Kustanto. How are you?
Miss Dini, fine, good, thank you.
Okay. And then Mr. Randi Kelana, Operation Manager Kimia Farma Sungwun Pharmacopia. Hello.
Hi, pleasure.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Muhammad Nursahid, CEO of Xapiens. Hello, Mr. Sahid.
Hello, good afternoon.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good to be
Good
here.
afternoon. Okay, thank you. And Mr. Terrence Lim, Regional Director ASEAN and Pacific of Hexagon. Hello, Mr. Terrence.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Aryashree Depayan, Director of Atlas Copco Indonesia. Hello, Mr. Aryashree. Please
Hello everybody.
Okay,
Good
thank you.
afternoon.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to discuss about Sweden-Indonesia collaborative action that are required in order to accelerate making Indonesia 4.0. We would like to explore the capability of the Swedish companies, also potential collaboration between Sweden and Indonesia. In this discussion, we be part with the 3 sessions. In the session 1, I would like to maybe ask my first question to Mr. Heru Kustanto.
Okay,
Mr. Heru,
Sorry?
can you?
Jakarta is very rainy. I
Yeah, I
my
know.
voice is clear to you, to all the participants.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Heru Kustanto, about the discussion for this afternoon, our President Joko Widodo has launched the Indonesia 4.0 in 2018, but then we struck by COVID pandemic, right? And the question is, how is the current Indonesia industry condition before and after COVID?
Okay. Thank you, Bu Dini. Before I answer your question, first I want to make one highest appreciation first, to government of Sweden, that's implementation of Sweden Indonesia Sustainable Partnership Week, and this event I'm very happy because I meet with the important person here. I read in the agenda is for the technology provider, from the Sweden and also from Indonesia. So this is very important for us. I hope the technology provider can support us to support the making Indonesia 4.0. Okay, Mbak Dini and the participant, I will can explain that the COVID pandemic, I think, is very effective to all the sector, especially for the industrial sectors. And we can see about the next last years, our growth is very negative, but now it's 2021. Industrial sector increase in the positive growth in the maybe first and third quarter, 2021. I think it's very important for us that indicated our economic still growth in 2021. Thank you, Bu Dini.
Okay, so the question, what is development stage on making Indonesia 4.0? Any disrupt maybe, Mister?
Yeah. I think the pandemic is very good momentum. I think it's very good momentum to explore and to increase implementation of Industry 4.0 because our president had launched in 2018. We can imagine that the implementation Industry 4.0 very high speed now because of the pandemic. So I think this pandemic is one reason to us to implement and to push our implementation of Industry 4.0, Ibu Dini.
Okay, so what the strategy, Pak? maybe to accelerating the implementation of Industrial 4.0 in Indonesia?
I think the government is good many program, but the most important, the first is maybe related with our human resources. Yeah, human resources is very important. So the first action to our government how to increase our education and to increase awareness to all the industry stakeholders, yeah, to implement the best implementation of Industry 4.0. And next, maybe is very many regulation. I think regulation is also very important to implement Industry 4.0. And then we also built many digital infrastructure for the implementation of Industry 4.0. I think it's very important for us. So I think mention three factors, yeah, human resources, regulation, and then digital infrastructure. Maybe the best important thing in implementation Industry 4.0 in Indonesia.
Okay, I remind digital infrastructure,
human resources development, you say?
Yes,
and
then,
regulation.
Okay, regulation. So this is your strategy,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Heru.
Okay, Bu Dini.
Well, maybe the next question to you, Mr. Muhammad Nursahid, the CEO of Xapiens. Mr. Sahid, are you hear me?
Yes, Bu Dini.
Okay, thank you. We heard about Indica Energy Group shifting toward digitalization. Petrosi, Kideso, and Xapiens are under Indica Energy Group. We note that Petrosi is one of the Indonesia award of on Industrial 4.0 lighthouse. Kideco is now setting up for mining digitalization, and Xapiens, the company that you lead, I think what was being implemented on Indica Energy Group in moving toward Industrial 4.0?
Okay, thanks a lot for the question, Bu Dini, and it is very interesting question, which I'm sure that many people would like to know. Before moving into what was being implemented, it's important to understand what for. In other words, the objective. First of all, as a context, Indica Energy was known as a coal company, right? It's a commodity business where the price is practically a given, and what we can improve is cost. So when we started back in 2018, we put big emphasis in technology, especially Industry 4.0. Petrosi was the first company within the group to move towards Industry 4.0. Now, to control the cost, you want to know all of the component driving the cost. You would want to know the data as relevant as probably near real time as possible, such that you can analyze, decide, and optimize your costs. To get the data, you will need to build the system. You will need to connect to the heavy equipment directly, utilizing IoT. You need to create an app to be used by operators to track their productivity, and then feed all of this data to be analyzed and processed in some kind of digital control tower, such that you'll be able to make decisions to improve efficiency. It doesn't stop here though. Further down the road, you would want to put some robotic process to automate certain things, even some machine learning for those analysis. All of this is to achieve the goal, which is to improve the cost and ultimately the bottom line. Of course, it wouldn't be possible to achieve this only with technology. So a huge force actually in the process and change management is required for this to happen. The technology itself doesn't have to be fancy. We can start small and then see the outcomes and then use that outcomes for further initiative. Now, from that success story in Petrosi, where Petrosi actually achieved the Lighthouse Award in 2019, every company within Indica Energy follow suit. So Kideco, for example, is now undergoing such a huge digitalization to improve its mining operation. In fact, even new businesses within Indica is now being developed with technology as integral aspect of the business.
Okay. You said that you implemented mungkin artificial intelligence, machine learning, maybe, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Can you maybe explain what the product prototype, what you produce in Xapiens? Maybe you have some example.
Okay, so when we talk about implementing Industry 4.0, we don't start actually from what product that we want to develop, but we want to start with what kind of solution that we want to achieve, and then what kind of business objective we want to achieve. Now, from this, then we develop the industry solution required for that. Right now, the industry solution actually consists of several aspects, several components. We created productivity app that can measure. Hello. Yeah, we can create a productivity app that can measure the productivity of the operators, and then leveraging IoTs to actually get the data directly from the heavy equipments, and then a digital control tower to actually analyze and then present that data such that we can basically make decision based on it.
Okay, clear. Okay, well, next question from me, Mr. Sahid. What the strategy forward for Xapiens in serving Indica Group?
All right. So it's important to understand that Indica itself actually set a bold target to have 50% of revenue coming from non-coal business in 2025. Right. So and even net zero emission in 2050. There's been a lot of dynamics within the group in leveraging technology. So Xapiens actually the ICT company within Indica Energy that is positioned to help every company within the group in implementing technology solutions for their Industry 4.0 and digitalization program. As I said before, that even the new business with Indica is now being developed with technology as an integral aspect of the business. So these new businesses actually are to achieve the target of non-coal related, right? Which means we can be more creative leveraging technology, not just to improve costs, but also to contribute the revenue as well. In fact, actually technology is part of that portfolio to contribute to 50%. So since we are now a company entity within Indica Energy, we actually have other clients outside of the group. By the end of the year, I think about more than 30% of our revenue coming from outside of the group. So aside from that industry solution that we built to support Industry 4.0 and digitalization, we also develop our capability in digital service such as enterprise and collaboration system, infrastructure and cloud, very niche solution in cybersecurity, as well as managed service, which is our original operations.
Okay. Okay. It's clear for me and maybe for audience. Thank you, Mr. Sahid.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, our discussion is getting more and more interesting. Then let's go to the next panelist, Mr. Randy Kelana, Operation the Manager of PT Kimia Farma Sungwun Pharmacopia. Mr. Randy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. As we know, Kimia Farma Sungwun is one of the awards on the Industry 4.0 readiness in 2020. What is the implementation of Industrial 4.0 on your area? So the time is yours. Okay.
Okay. Actually, I want to explain Kimia Farma Sungwun Pharmacopia is a part of subsidiaries of Kimia Farma, a big group company. Kimia Farma is our holding company, want to become a digital healthcare company, which is put the technology inside of all subsidiaries, should be implemented in our subsidiaries. Actually, in Kimia Farma Sungwun, we are active pharmaceutical ingredient or raw material manufacturer for special pharmaceutical company in Indonesia. Actually, thanks for Ministry of Industry, we've got Indie 4.0 award 2020. Actually, what we are done is I think this implementation is not talk about only bottom up, but also top down. I think we start from top down and then we implement, let's say, start from vision and mission of the company, and then after that we make which is, I mean, in vision and mission we put technology to be a tool of our company. And then the other things is we build also the culture. Actually, Kimia Farma is one of our on-state company in Indonesia, especially for healthcare company, which is the culture is similar. One of the culture is competence and the other is adaptive, which is we should put the higher technology in our facility. And the other things is we after that we look opportunity for improvements. Uh, Opportunity for improvement, not only technology but the other things is also implement, but the technology is a tool for us. We already implement some of the use case in our company, and then I think there is a Ministry of Industry look to us, and then we got Industry 4.0 award. That's it, Miss Dini.
Okay, I remark that you said some use case. Can you give us maybe the sampling for the use case that you said?
Okay. Actually, in our manufacturer, we said that safety. This is very technical, but I will explain. This is in our manufacturing. We implement safety, quality, and productivity. And then when we look the opportunity for increase the safety and then to increase the quality, we put some use case inside of that. I mean, let's say like safety. In our facility, we are doing with all the solvent inside of our factory, which is very flammable. We do implementations of gas detector monitoring, which is implemented by IoT when we can look and then we can prevent some persons when want to go inside the room when something's happened with the room. That's it, Miss Dini, some of the use case that I already implement in our factory.
Okay. So what is the next step? Maybe in the pandemic, or what is the impact of the pandemic in your company?
Actually, our industry is critical industry. Pharmaceutical industry is very critical, which is we should run our industry even this is pandemic, because we should supply all the medicines to the other let's say drugstore and so on. What should we do next? I mean, ISA 95 and 88, let's say, that have a four level of that. We already implement level 4, level 2, and level 1, which is maybe on the next stage we want to implement level 3. Level 3 is EMS, MES, Manufacturing Execution System. Maybe there is one thing that I want to do next implementation.
Okay, so interesting. So what is the key lesson you learn in implementation industry 4.0?
Actually, industry 4.0 in pharmaceutical we call Pharma 4.0. Pharma 4.0 is quite complicated because our industry is a highly regulated industry. Highly regulated industry. What is the what should we do is doing something is very what we call doing is because of because like in pharmaceutical also human centric is very important. Maybe that is our concern.
Yeah, of course. It's very sensitive, right?
Right.
Okay, thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, moving on the next session, we would like to explore the capability of the Swedish companies and also the potential collaboration between Sweden and Indonesia. For Mr. Aryashree Depayan, Director of Atlas Copco Indonesia, and Mr. Terrence Lim, Managing Director ASEAN and Pacific of Hexagon Manufacturing Intelligence. Since we have two Swedish companies here, we would like to hear from you both on the question is, what is your company's solution within Industrial 4.0? Maybe your Mr. Aryashree Depayan, this time is yours.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So before answering your question, I think first of all, I would like to thank you, as well as also I would like to thank Business Sweden for creating this platform. So this is the platform where we can basically talk about, what is the products and how they are basically contributing, for the 4.0. So what is basically 4.0, for our products? Basically, it is interconnectivity, automation, as well as machine learning and real-time data. So first of all, you need to understand what is Atlas Copco. Atlas Copco is a basically machine manufacturing company. We provide basically the solution for compressor technology, as well as vacuum technology, as well as industrial tools technology and construction technology. So if you look into these products, basically for the compressors, as well as for the vacuums, they are right now with a lot of, innovative features. So all these compressors, they have basically, as well as for the vacuums, they have basically the smart controllers. These smart controllers are basically, reading the patterns, in every factory or every plant there, reading the patterns of the requirements of the customers. And then they adjust basically, very precisely. And then to read all this data, we have a smart link, which is basically Internet of Things. Then we read all this data, then we, take it to our database or to the customer database. Then we look into the pattern and we adjust basically the output of the customer in line with their requirement. Then we restrict basically the energy, wastage of energy we restrict. So this is basically, this is one way of our products are related for the 4.0. Simultaneously also, we have basically smart handling tools like, smart riveting, adhesive dispensing and flow drill fastening. So, these are also very smart products. They understand, through the Internet of Things, the requirement pattern of the customer facility, and then they adjust itself. Suppose one, riveting requires certain torque. So it is well understood by the machine, and then they put exactly the same, the torque in the machine. So the precise and the accuracy comes into the point. So we have a lot of basically, our products have a lot of 4.0. So that is, contributing, basically power saving, as well as energy saving, as well as, precision, as well as accuracy. Thank you, Dini.
Okay. So according to your answer that I hear IoT, machine learning, artificial intelligence, what are the benefits for Indonesia by applying your company solution?
Yeah, this basically you have to understand that Atlas Copco is a company, which is basically creates values. So right now with this 4.0, they're becoming, they are producing a lot of smart products basically. And then how basically, it is benefiting, the solution. Suppose, we are basically providing the, equipments. And these equipments are going to certain facilities and making that facility is dynamic, first of all. And how basically, if I put a compressor in any of the customers, place, then we understand basically, or the customer also understand, status of the equipment, like, condition of the equipment, temperature, running hours, they understand everything through the, through the Internet of Things. Then also, how is the availability of the equipment, they understand, from the pattern of the uses. And then they can also plan for the, forecast. Then coming to the uptime, the customer also, the user also understand what is the productive running hours compared to the total running hours. Then we have also this smart controller basically, and basically then this smart controller, we take the data from the, we have another module, basically we call it Optimizer 4.0. And this basically understands the pattern. And then suppose for a compressor, it exactly adjusts the pressure. And then we also save a lot of energy for the customer. And then also in our equipment, like, there are with this, smart devices, there are a lot of, warnings. We get to know faults as well as service warnings. We get to know through the SMS or email to the concerned people. So these are the benefits basically which are attached. So primarily you can say that we save a lot of energy for the, users. So these are the mostly the important benefits which we provide, to the users.
Okay, the short answer maybe. So what your strategy to approach in the Indonesian market?
Mr. Strategy basically we have primarily 3 strategy in short, looking into right now, everybody is talking about this climate control as well as in a reduction in carbon dioxide emissions. Atlas Copco will always introduce innovative energy saving smart products continuously in Indonesian market. Secondly, we will create more awareness of smart products through different platforms like this Business Sweden today, what we are doing, and also other industry consortiums. Third is basically Atlas Copco will train to all local users here, like in Indonesia, and appraise the benefits of the smart products and how to use this in all industry segments. So these are the broad 3 strategies from Atlas Copco.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Arya. Okay, for you, Mr. Lim, are you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, okay. The same question.
Yes.
What is your company solution within Industrial 4.0 and the benefit for Indonesia, and what's your strategy to approach the Indonesian market?
All right, let's start with the first one. For a start, once again, thank you for having me today in this panel and this session. I appreciate the invitation as well. So in Hexagon, we believe that there has been a shift in Industrial 4.0. Industrial 4.0, as many of panelists described, is a very vast topic, mainly focused on automations. But in Hexagon, we believe that shift has shifted to this new term as what we call as autonomous, which I'm going to talk a bit in a while time. So like what Mr. Sahid mentioned earlier, in today's industries, in today's factories, there is a lot of data coming in, massive data. So the idea now is how we can use those data and how we can use it effectively, how we can use it more productive. And then how, in our term, how we can inject intelligence into those data and help and use and let those data help us in returns. So in Hexagon, we want to continue to develop an autonomous, connected ecosystem, as well as to increase the efficiency of the manufacturing process for our customers. So what better way to do that than to start at the beginning of a manufacturing cycle? So for example, if you manufacture a part, chances is that you're going to start with design. So today, Hexagon, we have a range of solutions to actually start at the design phase. It means as a company start to design their part to be manufactured, we want to simulate how the part will react under heat, how the part will react when it's being stressed. And when we are totally satisfied with the design, then we move on to production. And in production, Hexagon has a range of solutions to actually drive the most complex multi-axis machineries. And why do we want to do that objective? Production software, in terms of helping production, is to ensure that the product that is being manufactured, it means whether you are being 3D printing out or you are using a CNC to cut out, the process is to the optimization part. And then we move on to the inspection part, where we actually use the various equipment that Hexagon has to measure the parts, inspect the parts, to ensure that the part is being manufactured according to what the customer wants. But we don't want to stop there. So most companies say, yeah, this is a typical cycle, but we don't want to stop there because that's where autonomous comes in. We want to use especially the data that we collect during the inspection, and then feed those data back to our design department, feed those data back to our production department, and then we further optimize it. We continue to make that a continuously learning cycle to actually improve the manufacturing process for the customers. So this is why I mentioned earlier that we are shifting from automation to autonomous, and then to artificial learning.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Lim. And then let's go to the next panelist, Mr. Sahid.
Just a quick one, and then how we mentioned a bit of how Hexagon actually want to partner with local companies in Indonesia.
Oh, okay,
all right.
Okay.
Just to
Okay,
share
okay.
a little bit more, we believe in education because transfer of knowledge is a big thing in this whole process of learning. There is a lot of new knowledge. There is a lot of new skills that new workers have to acquire. So just to share with the panelists and share with the audience that Hexagon has actually started working with BPS, DMI. So it's an institute, and we have started to develop an automated cell. Okay, and this automated cell will actually encourage the automation process. But as I mentioned earlier, we don't want to stop there. So after inspecting of the part being produced, we want to feed the data back to the production machine to be able to further improve the process of being manufactured.
Okay. Enough, Mr. Lim?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Go on,
Thank you. Okay. Okay, then let's go to the next panelist, Mr. Sahid and Mr. Randi Kelana. Simple question for you both, based on the explanation from Hexagon and Atlas Copco on their solution toward Industrial 4.0. So the next question would be for you. How do you see the Swedish company technologies to be implemented in your company? Maybe Mr. Sahid first.
Thank you. Well, we actually several companies in our group is actually a customer of Hexagon. So we already implemented some part of technology from Sweden within Indica Energy Group, right? In mining industry, in construction industry, we use several technologies from Hexagon. From Atlas Copco, probably because Indica was mostly play in mining, construction. Probably at that time there was not so much exposure with technology from Atlas Copco. But as with Indica is now building new businesses and going in fact going into other areas, even manufacturing and so on, then I will begin to elaborate further about what is possible in working together with Atlas Copco, especially when it comes to assembly and manufacturing, right? Getting the data such that the process of manufacturing will be more automated and so on.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sahid. For you, Mr. Randy?
Actually, I know well Atlas Copco. Actually,
so yeah, the other one.
Actually, you know, pharmaceutical also need compressed air. Name it. I think the famous one is Atlas Copco. I mean, maybe next collaborations will be held by us together with Atlas Copco. Actually, we now build a new facility for our API manufacturing. Maybe after this discussion, I would like to meet Mr. Aryashree. Discuss about that.
Definitely, it's our pleasure, and for sure, our people are in touch with your plant. For sure, I know that, and I would like to meet you as well. Thank you, Pa.
Thank you.
Okay, so what is the challenge you think that hinder the implementation of their technologies in Indonesia, Mr. Sahid?
if I look back on our experience when we implement Industry 4.0, especially from technology perspective, I would say that in mining, connectivity will be the main challenge. Especially if we need to build connectivity whereby we need to connect the IoT devices or apps that the operator use, and basically they are out there in the pit, right? Or out there in remote areas. Even though IoT device probably will only need very small bandwidth, but then if you need to go further leveraging technology such as augmented reality or virtual reality, it will take very serious investment. Especially almost of our business is basically in remote sites, not like common manufacturing that typically exists in Jakarta surroundings area. So it will be actually interesting to follow the next panel discussion about the role of infrastructure.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sahid. So for you, Mr. Randy, what the challenge you think that hinder the implementation of the technologies in Indonesia?
I also agree with Mr. Sahid. Actually, connectivity is a key, but when we can add some more, I think this is a new for, let's say, me as an Indonesian persons. Maybe human development should be held by us together with together with the governments. And on the other hand, especially for pharmaceutical industry, I hope I can collaboration with IT provider which is know very well about the pharmaceutical industry regulation. Let's say when I talk about manual pharmaceutical industry, we call good manufacturing practice, but when we call for, let's say, IT put there in our manufacturing, the regulation is a bit different. We call good automatic manufacturing practice. I hope we can find IT provider which is already implement regulation, especially for pharmaceutical industry. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Randy.
Bu Dini, actually, outside from technology perspective in general, I think the other challenges will be more in process and change management, because Industry 4.0 is not just about implementing technology, right? Usually there is quite a lot of changes, be it in the process, be it in the how the team actually work and so on, and it needs to be understand from the very management and even the working level.
Yes, I agree to you, Mr. Okay, all right. Our panelists have given their brief explanation regarding the questions. My next question would be for Mr. Heru Kustanto. Are you hear me, Mr.?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Heru. Okay, we heard that Ministry of Industry are now building an innovation center of Industrial 4.0 in Permata Hijau. What is the main objective of the center, Mr.?
Okay, Bu Dini, I want to say to all participants here that the level of acceptance, of implementation Industry 4.0 is very wide in our industry. So we have a Indie 4.0 index, one index to measure the level of readiness to industry. So I think one of our program is a measure of the level of acceptance of Industry 4.0, and then is the first important also is we have building the Indonesian Digital Center, or we call here PD, in Permata Hijau. This is in PD will provide 5 services here, namely Showcase Center, and then Capability Center, Industry 4.0 Ecosystem, Delivery Center, Innovation Center. So in this event, we invite to especially technology provider like Pak Arya or Pak Lim, to over international cooperation opportunities, in increasing in the capability of PD 4.0 related to engineering and artificial intelligence center pillar, and then increasing human resources in Industry 4.0, and developing professional certification institution, as well as strengthening of the PD 4.0 ecosystem and PD 4.0 satellite. So I think it's very opportunity to all the technology provider here, because in our assessment of Indonesia industry, we have level 0 to 4. The main approach is maybe in 2 to 3 level. I think very opportunity, yeah, to our service provider to increase our technology. But in our Indie 4.0 index, not only technology but also managerial. That like mentioned by Pak Randy, yeah, we have 5 pillar. Technology is maybe pillar 2 and pillar 3, yeah, technology and operation manufacture. But the others is related with the people and culture, management and organization, like so on, yeah. So not only technology but also people and managerial is very important to increase our implementation in Industry 4.0. So our Pak Lim, maybe Pak Arya, so someday we can come to my office to discuss next detail, yeah, to make collaboration to how to implementation ED 4.0, especially in PD 4.0. Bu Dini, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so for your explanation, Mr. Swedish company is able to contribute to the center. Okay,
I hope
course.
I hope that Bu Dini, yeah,
Okay.
Sweden can help us, yeah, to increase our capability in Industry 4.0.
Big welcome. Okay, Mr. Heru. Okay, thank you. We're getting into the third session. As we know, the key target point on the Sweden-Indonesia Sustainability Partnership Week is on future collaboration. And my last question is a short answer because the time. To all panelists, what is the expected collaboration that could be built between Indonesia and Sweden in the term of making Indonesia 4.0? Maybe from Mr. Heru?
Yeah, thank you, Bu Dini. I think it is good opportunity to us, yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you. We expect the collaboration between Indonesia, especially Ministry of Industry, and Sweden in implementation of Industry 4.0. Here we have 7 areas to join collaboration. First, joint studies, maybe relation to policies and each country between Sweden and Indonesia. And then second, increasing the capability of human resources. Number 3 is consultation, guidance, and assistance in several priority industry. Number 4, maybe cooperation in the operation like PD, like I said before. And number 5, I think to service provider is very important to making a pilot project maybe, yeah, for the application of Industry 4.0, especially for small and medium enterprises. And number 6 is encouraging investment is very important. Investment in industrial sectors based on industrial technology 4.0 Indonesia. And the last is development of process standard and standard for machine and maybe equipment that's used in Industry 4.0. That's really our expectation to Sweden government and all the service provider to help us to implementation of Industry 4.0. Thank you, Bu Dini.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sahid, maybe?
Thank you, Bu Dini. So Indica Energy as group is basically almost always work together with a partner. So we never do something by ourselves. In fact, the new Indica Energy vision is to be highly trusted, innovative, and enduring business partner for sustainable creation. Yes, so there are quite a lot of collaboration that we do. For example, probably the partner can bring us the technology where we can implement without everything the wheel, and of course suitable with the situation in Indonesia and our business. There are also situations where our partner basically bring their expertise about a specific business, specific area, and then we will be able to help them in understanding the market here in Indonesia, such that again, coming back to the vision is for sustainable creation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sahid. Mr. Lim, maybe?
Sorry,
Mr. Lim, can you hear me?
Yep, sorry,
Yeah.
yep. Yes, as I mentioned earlier, so we actually started working with the PPS DMI. So we stand ready to support the Indonesian government in terms of this journey of 4.0. So centers, innovation centers, where we can actually establish areas where we can showcase the technology is one. We can use the centers to be a research center that we can work with actual industrial companies to provide a proof of concept to show them that this actually works. And then, of course, train a trainer program that we want to have a transfer of knowledge to from our side to the local people. And really just to support the learning cycle and the industrial players in terms of how we can work together more closely.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Randy?
Okay, thank you. I think I have two. Want to share. One is I hope we can doing collaboration in terms of new technology. I already mentioned before that I want to build a new facility. I hope we can collaboration together with the Sweden company. And then the other things is actually, I already implement Industry 4.0, but I want to know actually how about Sweden company doing Industry 4.0? Maybe if possible, we can do, like benchmarking, doing some things like that together with Indonesia, and then looking if Sweden company to implement Industry 4.0. That's it, Mrs. Dini.
Okay, thank you. For you, Mr. Arya?
See, there are a couple of things I would like to say over here. Basically, we do business here with the government as well as with the private sector. So in government, basically, if you look into all this oil and gas sector, we provide very, very high technology products. And these high technology products, basically, it involves a lot of automations as well as, lot of technology in their government facilities or maybe government plants. So through this, product supply, basically, there is a lot of, technology transformations as well as knowledge transformations. They are happening, continuously. Similarly, also, we are also, transferring a lot of, technology solutions to the private sectors as well. So mostly in nutshell, I would like to say that, through our products, we are, transferring a lot of, technological solutions as well as, lot of knowledges about the automation products. So these are the key areas what we are contributing to Indonesian market. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and for this last session, we will you to ask some question for the panelists, to audience, and I will read the question and please address the question to be answered by a panelist. So here we have chosen some interesting question, and the first question to be directed to Aryashree and Mr. Lim. The question is there any potential collaboration for the knowledge transfer from Swedish companies to Indonesian companies? Maybe Mr. Arya first.
Yeah, see, our products are involved with a lot of technologies. Whenever we supply this kind of products to any of the government facilities or maybe private facilities, so once it is introduced, then immediately we transfer the knowledge to those the concerned people inside that organization. So it's a continuous process, and it is always happens whenever there is a there is a transfer of the machines, then immediately we transfer the knowledge. Basically, it's not core, but basically operational knowledge, or maybe I think when it is related to 4.0, how to really how to really execute this 4.0 and maybe save certain energy from perspective, or take proactive actions for preventing the maintenance. So this kind of always knowledge transfer is already in place. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. For you, Mr. Lee?
The short answer is yes, for sure. But of course, before the transfer can take place, there is always a requirement to know what is expectation of the companies and what is objective and what they hope to result at the end of the days. So when the results of the expectation is set clear, and there's something that what we can do and what they are expected that we are for us to help them with, definitely the knowledge of transfer will be able to take place.
Okay, thank you so much for all panelists. And before we close this sharing session, I would like to summarize our discussion in this lovely afternoon. I hope the answer is clear. All right, to all panelists, because the time, I have just to close the session. And the implementation of Industry 4.0 not only has extraordinary potential in overhauling industrial aspects, but also able to change various aspects in human life. By implementing Industry 4.0, the Ministry of Industry target that extensive national aspiration can be achieved. Broadly speaking, this aspiration also to bring Indonesia in the top 10 in the world economies in 2030. Restore the industry not export rate of 10% and increase labor productivity to double increase in labor costs, and allocated 2% of GDP for technology and R&D activities. So from our previous discussion, we can see there are some potential collaboration that can be accomplished near the future, and hopefully those collaboration would be initiated and arranged shortly after today's event, right?
Okay.
Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for me to close this panel discussion. Thank you so much for all panelists.
Okay, thank you. Thank
I
you.
personally apologize if there's a mistake in guiding the discussion this afternoon. And in the last, I will hand it over back to MC. Good afternoon and thank you all very much.
Thank you, Bu Dini and all
Okay,
participants.
MC, please.
Pak Arya, Pak Lim, Pak Randy, Pak Nursahid.
Thank you, Ibu Dini, for your excellent moderating and also managing to summarize the discussion. Thank you to all panelists for sharing your valuable insights and perspectives, forming the base for future cooperation and collaborations. We will now take a short break, and when we come back, we will look closer at the ongoing 5G development and how to maximize its potential in Indonesia. Welcome back.
As we have heard today, Indonesia has a vision to become one of the world's largest industries. Developing an advanced digital infrastructure with 5G networks at its core and companies that are utilizing it to its full potential is a necessity to make this happen. Our next panel will explore where Indonesia is on this journey and discuss how to move forward. For this purpose, companies from the Alliance will be joining us, and we will now play a video to introduce them.
How do you prevent failures and machine breakdowns? How do you minimize downtime and reduce the cost of maintenance? And how do you optimize performance while minimizing waste and emissions? The answer is by using connected technologies from SKF. How? Well, we use a four-step process, where the first step is to connect to your machinery and collect relevant data. This can be done by taking data from your current sensor-connected machinery, process systems and data historian, and providing any additional sensors and portable or online data acquisition technology needed to monitor your critical, semi-critical, and even your balance of plant assets. The next step is to detect any issues by interpreting this big data using a combination of analysis tools, including artificial intelligence, automated machine learning, and expert fault verification systems, on-site or with cloud-based and remote diagnostic solutions. In the third step, insights from your data are presented in easy-to-understand dashboards, informing and advising when a problem arises, what it is, what to do about it, and how to resolve it. The final step is about working together with you to improve your operations. We want to do this in a new way where our interests are aligned from the start. This fee and performance-based approach reduces your risk and makes it easier for you to continually benefit from the latest Industry 4.0 and IoT technologies without the need for significant upfront investment, helping you move from the transactional purchasing of technology and products to purchasing rotation as a service.
What do you see? Transistors on a chip? Or a complex landscape of engineering perfection with the potential to make the world a slightly better place? It's all about perspective. We are an engineering design house, a global team of experienced engineers in the forefront of technical development, global, yet always close by your side. We provide hardware and software solutions, embedded systems, and wireless applications around the world. Our customers use these solutions to save lives and to connect people, industries, and societies. Our foundation is built on engineering, innovation, and curiosity. Always for the sake of providing value for our customers. We work in our own facilities or at your site. And we can take your idea from concept design through the whole product lifecycle. A one-stop shop for product development. We are passionate about discovering solutions beyond the conventional, delivering functionality of the highest quality. It's all about perspective.
To lead us in the discussions on 5G, it is my honor to hand over to our moderator, Mr. Yulianto Soharto. Yulianto is a PhD candidate at the Department of Engineering and Technology Management at Portland State University. He's also a lecturer at the School of Business and Management at the Bandung Institute of Technology. So, Pak Yulianto, you have the word.
Good afternoon, everyone. So today we'll have a very big topics to be discussed, and fortunately we already have our 6 prominent speakers from different backgrounds, and we're going into the detail about the concept of connectivity infrastructure as the enabler for Industry 4.0. And before we start, let me introduce each of our speakers. We'll start with, from the regulator side, we have Mr. Dini Setiawan, Directorate of Spectrum and Planning at Directorate General of Frequency Spectrum Management and IT Equipment Standard. From Indonesia, Ministry of Communication and Information. Welcome, Pak Dini.
Ya, terima kasih. Thank you very much, Pak Yunto.
Okay. And the second speaker is a good friend of mine, a colleague of mine, Mr. Agung Wicaksono, currently being assigned as the Managing Director of PT Jababeka Infrastructure. Jababeka is a company who has developed some smart industrial estate in Indonesia. Welcome, Mas Agung.
Thank you very much, Mas Yulianto. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The third one is Miss Maya Arvini. She is currently the president of PT Clue Performa Indonesia, a tech company who built some smart cities digitalization in Indonesia, including in Jakarta. Welcome, Ibu Maya.
Thank you, Mas Yulianto, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening to you. And the fourth one, we have Mr. Jerry Soper, the President Director of Ericsson Indonesia, a Swedish telecommunication company who has established more than 100 years in Indonesia. Welcome to our webinar, Mr. Jerry.
Thank you, Yulianto. Really nice to be here.
Thank you. And the fifth one, we have Mr. Stefan Sundin, currently the President Director of Syntronic Indonesia, a Swedish company who focuses on repair center global hub in Indonesia and smart manufacturing technology. Very nice to meet you again, Stefan.
Okay, thank you so much. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
Okay. Last but not least, we have Pak Toto Suharto as the country manager of SKF Indonesia, a Swedish company who focuses on rotating equipment solution. Welcome to our webinar as well, Pak Toto.
Thank you very much, Pak Yulianto. Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So we'll have 2 different subtopics will be discussed on our very limited time, but we'll make sure that we'll have a lot of discussion in between. And for the first subtopic, we all know that Indonesia has planned to become the leader in manufacturing to attract more global companies to invest in Indonesia. Obviously, telco infrastructures become the key enabler for industrial estate in implementing the concept of Industrial 4.0. And I'm going to start my first question from the regulator side. Obviously, that's the most important one. So this one is to Pak Dini Setiawan. Pak Dini, I'm being greedy here, Pak Dini, so I'll have two questions for you. Okay, so the first question, okay, in relevant to the concept of infrastructure development for Industry 4.0, what is the Ministry of ICT strategy in supporting this target? That's the first question. And you might want to later on also answer my second question related with how is the development of digital infrastructure and 5G, especially when we're focusing on the industrial estate. Go ahead, Pak Dini.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Pak Yulianto, to answer your question, the Ministry of Communication and Informatics has developed the roadmap of Digital Indonesia 2021-2024 in 4 strategic sectors: digital infrastructure, digital government, digital economy, and digital society. The roadmap provides strategic guidelines to facilitate Indonesia's digital transformation. The implementation strategy, one is, I think, related to the question, is accelerating the provision of telecom infrastructure. And we have also provided some enhancement of policy and regulation, particularly in spectrum sharing and infrastructure sharing. And I think we also have a lot of fiberization. We already established palaparing, and we will enhance that and more road. And then also we are targeted also the 4G connectivity to the 10,000 rural areas. But of course, I think the key in the industrial areas is fiberization and 5G. And to answer also your second question, in the 5G front, we have a 5G task force, which I'm also the chair of the 5G task force. And one of the key issues of spectrum, we have already this year auctioned the 2.3 gigahertz. And this year we are launching the 5G services, and 3 operators already on operation: Telkomsel, Indosat, and XL. And I think even we have maybe so in existing spectrum, I think there's some already in place in 11 cities in Indonesia. So I think we look forward also to discuss the industrial, and also and in the future, maybe next year, we prepare to have a new band for 5G. Hopefully that it can also provide some, I think, for services, a new opportunity for industry in the future.
Okay, so Pak Dini, so based on your explanation, it seems that the ICT Ministry is already, let's say, very well known that the 5G development will be the enabler for the implementation of Industry 4.0. And based on your explanation as well, you're mentioning that some policy, some regulation has been established in order to accelerate the implementation of 5G later on. Yeah. So is that the case, Pak?
Yeah. It's this case. So we have already based on the Omnibus Law Undang-Undang Cipta Kerja, we have already implemented the spectrum sharing. So I think the infrastructure sharing, that we can have also the industry to take part on the more in-depth discussion with the mobile operators on how to use that 5G facilities. And the other thing, I think, that about the infrastructure sharing. So I think here we have Jababeka, for example. We can discuss more in detail. I think so. One of the key issues in the fiberization, and we have, I think, on the regulation that we discussed with the Ministry of Internal Affairs and local government, how to speed up, and there's some guideline to I think facilitate the implementation of fiberization. And you know that we also discussed with the Minister of Industry, and in this year, Indonesia also the host of G20, and we discussed with them to provide some use case and showcase. And I think in the 8th December will be in the Ministry of Industrial building in PD 4.0. They have a building there to to showcase on that 5G and also Industry 4.0, which we will have some melting point to discuss on how the implementation of 5G and also the Industry 4.0 in a more larger scale.
Okay, thank you, Pak. Dini, stay with us because I have more questions for you later on. But now, since you mentioning about Jababeka, okay, and let's hear from the perspective of business side, right? So, welcome, Pak Agung. We all know that Jababeka is well known as one of the leading industrial estate in Indonesia. And I also learned that Jababeka has planned to become Indonesian Silicon Valley by providing a major infrastructure, including obviously telecommunication. So, Pak Agung, please do share with us on applied cases within smart industrial estate in your company, which is in Jababeka.
Thank you, Mas Yulianto. I know you are actually the expert on this, on innovation, because I share the same place teaching with you at SBM-ITB, but now I'm on the practical side, on the industrial side, and you're absolutely right to say that Jababeka is the largest industrial estate in Southeast Asia. So in Indonesia, we have 3 special economic zones. We have 3 KEKs. Yeah, one is in Tanjung Lesung in Banten, second was in Morotai in North Maluku, and the third one, the newest one, is Kendal in Central Java. But the core of that is the Jababeka industrial estate in Cikarang in West Java that now we envision to be the next Silicon Valley. And if you ask for a use case, yeah, for an applied case, let me share with you a brief slide about that, because that will also answer, the challenge being put by Pak Dini as a regulator from the Ministry of Communication and Information. So this is what we are just a minute. We are developing right now in Jababeka, is that we make the new Silicon Valley of Indonesia. And just a minute. Unfortunately, I cannot share the file at the moment. Okay. So the PowerPoint place cannot be shared. But anyway, so Jababeka as the new Silicon Valley. Why? Because if we hear about Silicon Valley in the US, in America, we know that it comes as a result of a collaboration between university like Stanford University and industries like, first one was Hewlett-Packard, yeah, and the same thing is also the vision in Indonesia. Yeah, starting from those 2 entities in the US, then we have companies like Apple, Google, Facebook, Tesla, and then those companies that has the global scale, just like Ericsson and Centronic and SKF here. So we want to have that also happening in Jababeka. Why? Because we not only have those largest industrial estate, but we also have the source for human capital. We have a President University in Jababeka. So now it's about 20 years old. It's the university with the largest number of international students in Indonesia. And with that, we also connect with the industries, yeah, with about 2,000 tenants that we have. Yeah, so in Jababeka. So you imagine the academics, yeah, and then the business, yeah, and then the third one is the government, as was guided by Pak Dini. So with the government, we're working with the Ministry of Industry, like what was mentioned, PD 4.0, Pusat Industri Digital Indonesia 4.0. The core is in the Ministry of Industry, but we are creating now a satellite for PD 4.0 in Jababeka, that what we call Fab Lab. Fab Lab stands for Fabrication Laboratory. So what is Fab Lab? It's an open innovation hub. Yeah, it's a hub where industries, academicians, innovators meet, and then through an ecosystem, yeah, through that ecosystem, we facilitate, yeah, the delivery, the innovation, showcase, and also create the capability for Industry 4.0 to happen within that Fab Lab. Yeah. So if we remember the stories of Steve Jobs and those innovators creating their company in the garage of their houses in Silicon Valley, we are creating those garage, yeah, for the innovators in Jababeka, yeah, to create Industry 4.0 solution.
Okay, thank you, Pak Agung. And I used to live in the US for a couple of years, and we all understand that things that make Silicon Valley works because it has complete ecosystem within it. So hopefully what already shared by Pak Agung, we can achieve that sooner than later, right, Pak Agung? And which lead me to the second question, Pak Agung. So you are both coming from academic side and also now being assigned into the business side. Okay, so based on your own assessment, Pak Agung, how important is telco infrastructures and application in the context of Industry 4.0 and Indonesia global competitiveness? Yeah,
you're absolutely right, Mas Yanto. Yes, before I was in Jababeka, I was assigned in the transportation industry. I was in MRT Jakarta for a few years, preparing for the operation, and then after that, the CEO of Transjakarta, where we also applied how big data being used, yeah, for the transport. And now in Jababeka, in the industrial estate, it's the time where I see and then now, you know, facilitate the implementation of how telco infrastructure becoming the backbone of this Industry 4.0. So for sure, for example, the existence of fiber optic, the whole, you know, Jababeka industrial area, 5,600 hectare. Yeah. So that's the huge land we have with the 2,000 tenants, all are connected with fiber optic. Yeah. And then we're working right now by next year to have the 5G infrastructure. So we're working with Telkomsel, and we will need the support of Pak Dini, for example, for sure, from Kominfo to make that happen. Yeah, and not only the infrastructure, but we have also applied. We have also used the benefit of that infrastructure. Yeah, and by the way, the fiber optic solution, there are many choice. Yeah, there are 12 providers. So we're not you know, restricting the tenants to use that. We make it open, and with that we created smart solutions for our company as well for the tenant. So for example, we have smart meter for the gas network, yeah, using what we call LoRaWAN. So we use a system called J-Smart. Yeah, it's basically a smart office system. Where in my office right now, never anymore piece of paper going around for signature and so on. Yeah, so all are electronic, and many other solutions. Yeah, that showed the strong value of the telco infrastructure, but then also how this become the driver for the industrial digital application being used toward the Industry 4.0.
Very interesting, Mas Agung. And we'll go to our next presenter. We already heard the word 5G for so many times, right? So let's hear it from the expert, from the developer itself, Mr. Jerry Soper from Ericsson, as the leading 5G technology developer. So Jerry, what is Ericsson's strategy to support our government in implementing 5G in Indonesia, especially in industrial estate?
Yeah, I think as Pardeni mentioned, you know, probably the most exciting thing is in recent times, 3 of the big operators in this country have now launched 5G, and I think that's a very significant milestone. And you know, if you look at the work that's required to that, I mean, you know, 4G is super important. That is the base technology upon which 5G is now going to be built. So, you know, getting the conditions right, and of course we're working with the regulator, with Pardeni and the Cominfo team, as we see, you know, the spectrum requirements that are needed today. And we've been able to launch 5G with 3 operators today. But we anticipate, as Pardeni mentioned, more spectrum is going to become available next year and probably the year after that as well. And that's going to really, you know, help to continue this rollout. So that the main work we've been doing is really focused on working with our customers and partners in this market, getting it ready. And we're at the start of the journey. It's you know, at the very beginning, but it's a very, very exciting journey ahead, because when we see the capability, the speeds, the low latency, the number of devices that we can add, and then if we look as well, the number of technologies that we can impact in sort of, you know, industry 4.0 space, it's very, very exciting for the future.
Okay, thank you, Jerry. We'll move into our next panelist, Ibu Maya Arvini from Clue. We all understand that 2 words that come across when we talk about the implementation of Industry 4.0, which is safety and security. Okay, and Clue has delivered an application on safety and security in one of industrial state in Indonesia. So, Bu Maya, could you share with us, in terms of deliverables, how far has your company has reached in implementing the concept of Industrial 4.0?
Yeah. So thank you, Mas. I hope that we can share the screen here. Is it possible? So Clue actually is the most complete solution provider that focus on the artificial intelligence and also the Internet of Things. And we've built a lot of the vision, Clue vision, as well as the technology on top of the Internet of Things as well. So I about to share several use cases that we've been implementing so far. So for example, like maybe you're quite familiar with the technology of the vision, talking about the vehicle counting and also the people counting. So this is actually to protect an area, focus on the security, where the license plate and as well as with the face recognition been as a record, so no one can enter the specific zone unless they are registered first. So this been used in several industrial estate, like you see in the video. And since Clue is also established and produce the Clue thermal, is a device for monitor your thermal sensor, including the device as well. And now it is connected to the gate. It is an automated one, and also having the capability to integrate into the attendance system. It is very helpful for those being implemented in the industrial case and also in some of the plant. So I think next, the technology that we've been developed is quite interesting. And we've been thankful during the pandemic, the disruption of the technology also push all, not only the industrial estate, but also like the commercial complex and also the commercial state implementing like those kind of things. Yeah, several of other like case study also implemented in the cluster of the commercial complex, for example, like Lipo Karawaci or Alam Sutra. So the way that security being implemented is to recognize the face recognition of the driver and as well as with the license plate recognition being registered in that particular cluster. And for example, also the Lipo Karawaci and also Alam Sutra, we develop the pedestrian crossing. So this is what we call with the smart traffic management, where the traffic light is because of the using of the AI combined with the IoT, they can analyze if there are so many pedestrians who will cross the street and where is a lot of people there, the pedestrian green light will be longer compared to the less people that crossing the street. I think if it is can be implemented in more and more area, including some city as well, it will can help government, right, and also everyone, including the citizen, to implement the better and also smart city. So this is things that we implement within our client. So I think the private sector is quite ahead compared to the non-private sector. So for example, like the Alam Sutra, they also having like the township management system. So where everyone that living in that particular area, it could be apartment, it could be like a housing estate and so on, where they can use this master of app, having their complaint request, and then a payment, billing, statement, and so on, just using this only app. I think this is very interesting if you would like to concentrate into the #1 service provider or property management or property owner, so you can compete and giving the best satisfaction for your customer. Maybe the other one next. Yeah, this is also implement in Alam Sutra. So I'm talking about the smart traffic management. The different in the Lipo Karawaci is for the pedestrian, but this one is for the vehicle that crossing there. So you can see sometimes people get pissed off because it is should be longer the light, but the traffic light itself do not have the capability to identify how is the traffic itself. So with the combination of the AI and also the IoT, they can identify where and when the traffic light should be green longer or even faster compared to the current situation. Next. Yeah, so this kind of technology also used not only in the industrial estate, but also in some commercial complex. You know that mall and also retail, using the capability of the people counting, you can analyze how many people coming in, and then going out, and also you can check on the zone counting as well. So the property owner or the property management can identify where is a spot that quite less traffic, and they can make like an activation there. And we also combine with the device of the Clue Thermal, so the protocol COVID-19 is also implemented within that particular area. This kind of technology is very helpful because whatever the decision later can be made, it's all based on data. So I think that's the beauty of the using of the core of the AI and the IoT. Yeah, I think that's several case study that can be implemented. And Pak Agung, I'm also listen to your presentation. I think Jababeka later on, if you would like to try our technology, could be our next customer.
There you go.
Yes.
This is what I'm talking about, networking.
Yes.
We welcome you so much, Bumaya.
So Bumaya,
like
that you already, your company already delivered a lot, right? So what is the next milestone for your company?
Okay, so
other than collaborating with Mas Agung, obviously.
Yes, correct. So actually, we've been developed the SaaS, so the software as a service, and we're about to launch in January next year, just about 2 months from now. So a lot of people that keep asking Clue because all of the technology that I mentioned sometimes require the infrastructure and the internet in the location, but we will give the flexibility to the partners and the client so they can use our infrastructure, by using the Clue SAS or Clue Unity, and then later you just register very easy to our website, clue.ai, and then connect the CCTV of yours. So you don't need to invest on your current infrastructure. Just give it to Clue, and then we manage it. And then later on, you still can apply all the security and safety protocol in your premises.
Thank you, Bu Maya. And we're moving into our second subtopic. Now we have Swedish companies on the second topic. The Swedish companies, the first one is Swedish solution within connectivity infrastructure. The second one is later on we're going to talk about potential collaboration between Swedish companies and Indonesian companies. Okay, so we'll start with Pak Toto Suharto as the country manager of SKF Indonesia. SKF is known as a bearing company with a lot of application in automotive, railway, turbine, and rotating equipment. So, Pak Toto, what is the solution toward Industrial 4.0 in your case?
Yeah, thank you very much, Pak Yulianto. So we have heard and also seen from our video, SKF in Indonesia especially is not only producing and providing bearing to our customer here locally in Indonesia, but we also now moving to other business model. So we have a so-called rotating equipment performance, where we put sensors and connected the machine, acquire the data to the cloud, and we put also artificial intelligence to have a predictive maintenance. So this is our business model for the future, not only providing bearing as a hardware, but we have a holistic solution to bring more benefit to our customer, yeah, in terms of increasing productivity, reducing maintenance costs, and also protect the environment. So if we can reuse, for example, our bearing, then we have less carbon footprint. And also in terms of lubrication, in rotating equipment, lubrication is also important. Now we have also connected solution for automatic lubrication, where we need also here connectivity. So if you see our video previously, so the first step we have to do in our operation is to connect. Yeah, to connect, that means we need a connectivity. So that's why our connected solution need reliable and secure connectivity. So we are working very close with our customer, because Industry 4.0 solution is customized. So we are trying to understand the pain point of our customer and customize our solution to their needs. Yeah. So we Industry 4.0 solution is a journey. This is not one solution fit for all. So we have to talk to our customer, we have to see the application, and then we design the solution that we can provide to the customer around rotating equipment performance. So now we have already many customers in Indonesia using our rotating equipment solution. And this is a holistic solution. So we are not only providing sensor and trying to understand the performance of the machine, but we need also recommendation. So what to do in case of, for example, breakdown, or we can also send alert and warning if rotating equipment need more lubrication, need maintenance activity, etc., etc. So this is quite interesting topic for our customer in Indonesia, because I think not so many company in Indonesia know SKF as a solution provider for Industry 4.0, because in the past we only producing bearing in Indonesia, or already since we have been producing bearing for 35 years in Indonesia. To our customer in the automotive industry and also in general in the industry. So if we don't have this bearing in Indonesia, then we can also utilize our global manufacturing network from China or India to bring this benefit also to our customer. So this is a journey we always try to go with our customer. So, and also we are trying to partnering with other companies, such as connectivity companies. And I am very happy to hear that industrial state such as Jababeka is also preparing for the future, because once we want to implement Industry 4.0 solution, we need connectivity, we need infrastructure, etc. Yeah, so I think it is a good development in Indonesia. Government trying to put the right framework, the right regulation to have the good infrastructure for the future. And also private sector now partnering, working together, how we can utilize the connectivity technology with the right infrastructure. And we as a solution provider, we're trying also to partnering with this company, because we don't have connectivity solution. Yeah. So, but our Industry 4.0 solution need connectivity. So for the future, Industry 4.0 solution is not one player can do everything. So it's about collaboration. I'm very happy to hear planning of Jababeka from Pak Agung, and also Pak Dini explaining about the regulation framework, and also other players like Clue and Ericsson putting the effort towards Indonesia, making Indonesia 4.0. So I think it's a good journey Indonesia making now. Hopefully it will also increase our competitiveness, not only in ASEAN but also worldwide. Yeah. So if we can utilize the trend and also the future technology, then I think industry in Indonesia will be more competitive. Yeah, and the productivity will increase, and we see I think more jobs also for the people in Indonesia. I think that's why we are supporting companies in Indonesia to have more Industry 4.0 solution to fulfill their needs, to increase productivity, to reduce costs, for example, maintenance costs, and also long-term to protect environment, and also to achieve sustainable goals in the future. Thank you, Pak.
Okay, thank you, Toto. One word being highlighted by Pak Toto, which is collaboration. Okay, now let's move to another speakers who also a Swedish company that operates in Indonesia, to Stefan Sundin. So Stefan, we all understand that Syntronic Indonesia is one of the global hubs for repairing centers for electronics. Could you share a bit with us about your activity and its relevance with Industrial 4.0?
Yes, okay. Thank you so much to be here. It's so nice to hear from all the Indonesian companies and Swedish company and from ministers and so on. So it's great for us to be here. And yes, please let me share some slides just to describe little what Syntronic is doing today. So let's see. Can you see my slide?
Yes.
Okay. So looking into Syntronic, what are we doing today? Can you see the picture of our facility? Can you see my slide?
We're on your first slide.
It's the repair center. Can you see that? Oh, maybe not.
Still.
Let me see. Okay, I think we go one by one then, like this.
Yeah.
So, okay, just looking into what are we doing today in Indonesia? We have a global repair center for the ASEAN region. Here we are repairing advanced electronics and telecommunication using the infrastructure also in Industry 4.0. This year we received this bonded zone license, so now we can also bring in volumes from other countries into Indonesia. So this is like a global hub, and we are world leading. Our performance here is really, really good when we compare with others. So our employees and the engineers doing a really good job. And our factory here is in Cikarang. I think it was mentioned before here as well. So also what we're doing is some spare part management. And but if you look into the industry 4.0, we're also working with research and development, and it's hardware and software consulting. And in this area, we want to grow now in Indonesia. If you look at Syntronic Group, we have big R&D office in America, in Europe, and in Asia. And now we want to bring in this more to Indonesia as well. And if you look at the offer, yeah, we're working with research and development, production, and aftermarket. If you look at the different type of areas and markets, it's in telecom, defense, industry, medtech, and automotive. And in all this area, we also need industry 4.0. So for the research and development, yeah, we can do system design, hardware design, software design, mechanical, and product development. But we're also looking into this system integration and turnkey solutions. And here is some example what we are looking into them. The smart factory solutions, that is for the manufacturing. Here, you know, we want to have higher output from the factories. We want to have better yield, higher quality. We want to have real-time statistics and reports. And here we can put in a lot of sensors, terminals, and different equipment, and use IoT to do the connection of everything. And then you can monitor it. So this is projects that we have done for many customers already. And then we go into environmental. Here, you know, we talk a lot about the environment and pollutions, and here you also can put out different type of measurement, and then you can measurement in the whole country and see from a monitoring center how is it everywhere in Indonesia, for example. Other things also in the energy sector. Here we have monitoring solution. We put some different products around, and then we can measure the electricity in the grids and in other places around the country and monitoring that. Coming back to this manufacturing, I know some plants and so on, it's a lot of manual work and so on, and then we can do it in more automation. So we can do it testing in auto, we can use robotics, we can use different type of solution to speed up and make the manufacturing much better in different areas. So this is also things we can support companies with. Looking into this more electrical vehicle, yeah, you also have this car battery charging system solutions. And this is also things that we have helped to set up and to create the whole system and how you're charging the cars and follow this up and so on. So yeah, last slide here. For this manufacturing industry 4.0 benefits, yeah, you can get higher output, better yield, you can lower the cost, you can have preventive maintenance, streamline and measure the production flow, and have real-time statistics and reports. And here, I think it's important if you can use this Internet of Things, automation, robotics, and so on. And these two pictures from one of our own factories as well. So we're using these technologies by ourselves, but also for our customers. So yeah, this is some of the areas where Syntronic can help and also work with others for cooperation. So yeah, we are really looking forward to work together with others to get Indonesia more advanced in these areas and so on, and bringing in this. So let me see.
Oh,
yeah. Thank you.
Again, another keyword, the same keyword being highlighted, which is collaboration. We have two companies from Indonesia, we have two companies from the Sweden, and I'll get back to our regulator, Pak Dini. Okay, so in terms of this concept of collaboration, Pak Dini, what is regulator expectation on collaboration between the ecosystem of smart industrial estate?
Yeah, I think I'm very glad to hear from Pak Agus and Bu Maya and Pak Toto, and I think from our colleagues from Sweden that the facility is there. Yeah, Jababeka, I think, is one of the largest. And Pak Agus mentioned that he has an open lab that we can have discussion. Because the telcos, for telcos industry, they are not expert on providing the solution for industry. But as Pak Toto mentioned, they need connectivity. So we need the place to play around. We need the place to discuss. And I think if VD 4.0 in Jakarta is, I've been there. The place is not so big, but it's at store building. But this Jababeka is a satellite. I think it's really very close to the industry, and I'm waiting for the discussion for this Pak Agung. And I think I will encourage our mobile operators to go there, to invest there. And particularly when you mentioned that fiber optic is already there, I think it's fantastic. And I'm also interested with the Bumaya, smart city solution and AI. I really amazed. I really admire the clue, and hopefully that we can, as you mentioned, is for private or commercial is already there, but for bigger like the public environment, like the city, right? We have, I think, challenge in the city government, how to have a right of way and how to, I think, to provide the smart city. So I think we can have modeling, to collaborate, instead of blocking each other, but we can work together. I think it's very interesting. So I really enthusiastic and looking forward to the next discussion, particularly in Jababeka building, Pak Agung. Thank you.
Okay, so since Pak Agung and Bu Maya, your names already mentioned by Pak Dini, you were being challenged, right? So let's hear from your side, both Pak Agung and Bu Maya. Okay, so this question is for both of you. How do you think on field cooperation between Swedish companies and the local digital ecosystem that can be implemented in your area or in your industry? Go ahead, Pak Agung first, maybe.
Okay, well, for the encouragement, and already with Ibu Maya, we are connecting and we're opening our door to visit. But of course, for Swedish company, we are more than excited to have it. We heard from Stefan that Syntronic is in Cikarang. I know that it's in Lipo Cikarang. It's our neighboring industrial estate, and Silicon Valley is not just one industrial estate, right? The whole area is Silicon Valley. And please, Pak Stefan, please tell your team to come and visit. We also have a Swedish company in our Jababeka area. It's called FlexLinks. So FlexLink is a company developing conveyor manufacturer with automated conveyor system. So those kind of things that we really want to have, collaborating with us. And obviously Ericsson, I don't need to invite, because they are the one who enable everything when it comes to 5G. So let me share a picture. Hopefully I can add that. Yeah. So this is the Silicon Valley that we are aiming. I hope you can see that, yeah. So the Fab Lab Jababeka. So this is the place, yeah. Is the embryo for the ecosystem of Jababeka Silicon Valley, yeah. Part of the PD 4.0, yeah. So we have several companies displaying their equipment there right now. For example, a Singaporean company called AUX, yeah, they put a system there, and then we're also working with some of the tenant and even our own facility, the water treatment plant that we have. So we are putting a digitalization into the smart to make it a smart WTP, smart water treatment plant. So if Clue can come, yeah, if Syntronic can come, FlexLink as a Swedish company, SKF, yeah, we're welcome. Erection, we welcome, and then be part of this new Silicon Valley of the future in Jababeka. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Bu Maya.
Yeah. So Pak Agung, thank you very much. Very nice of you. I just see by today about the Fab Lab. And one of the challenge in the country, I think, is for the AI and the IoT resources for the younger generation. It's still scarce, I think. So Clue is always looking forward for having a collaboration, including with Jababeka or any other clients and also university, because I think our resources, well, all of our engineers actually is a local engineer, and we would like to share about our technology. And I believe, Pak Dini, of course, we can build a better, not only a better city, Pak, but also a better nation when we are talking about the AI and the IoT, and we are ready for that. Yeah. So I hope the connection is okay. And talking about the collaboration with the Swedish company, actually, we are doing some research as well. And the technology of the AI and the IoT that we build is covering the multi-sector of any industry. So anytime we are ready to collaborate as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Bu Maya. There are so many other questions that I would really to have a good, fruitful discussion with all our prominent speakers, but we don't have that luxury, Bapak Ibu. So I think we need to arrange another time so we can have more discussion. And you probably also noticed that our event is being broadcasted into the YouTube channel. And so far we have received over 150 questions from the audience. But given the time limitation, I'll just choose one of them. Okay, let me open the question first. Okay, so this is a question from our audience from YouTube. Okay. Is there any cooperation from Swedish stakeholder with education institution Indonesia in knowledge transfer activities, especially for advanced technologies such as automation, 5G, etc.? So maybe Jerry or Stefan or Pak Toto, do you have comments on this question?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, go ahead, Pak Toto first, then we go to Stefan.
This year we are starting so-called vocational training for our SMK students for the next 3 years. So we will have this program to prepare the future workforce. So we are working closely with SMK in Jakarta and have selected some students to be part of this program. So the intention is to have more practical experience in the company and part of the theoretical lecture in the SMK in the school. So by doing this program, we're hoping that we can prepare the future workforce. They are able also to face the future challenges regarding new technologies, such as IoT, Industry 4.0, or connectivity. So we will bring them more new skill and also skill for the future. So this is what we are planning now and starting this year.
Okay, that's really excellent, Toto. It could also answer to Bu Maya concern, right, in regard to the talent availability, right? Talent availability. So you're highlighting on the vocational training, which will lead into talent creation and talent pooling later on. Stefan, do you have comments?
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, today, as I said, we are working with this global repair center for advanced electronics and telecommunication. And we have a lot of communication and cooperation with the University of Indonesia, State University of Jakarta, Telecom University, President University, and Lampung University. So it's a few universities that we already have the cooperation with. And now going into this more R&D and Industry 4.0, and we growing up and develop that here in Indonesia as well, the local content and internal training is so important, and the cooperation. So we are really looking forward to that from Syntronic side. And normally when the students come to us as well, we have a lot of internal training, but then also our staff going outside to other countries for training as well. So yeah, we looking forward to continue with that.
Okay,
yeah.
Nice. Just for your
I can add to that.
Okay, go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I mean, yeah, we have sort of long association with universities here, and that's something we're looking to increase in the next couple of years. If we look at our sort of graduate recruitment programs as well, we aim to recruit the brightest and the best of the graduates that we can. And I think to Bumaya's point, we see a need for new skills, particularly when it comes to AI. Machine learning and so on. So these are areas that we'll be looking to collaborate with local universities in the coming years, because I think especially when we look at Industry 4.0, we need an ecosystem. It's not just about providing the air interface and so on to be able to communicate by 5G. You need a ecosystem of partners working together, and for that we're going to need to train a whole bunch of people. We need the system developers, the systems integration experts. So for that, we see there'll be a need to work locally with companies and with universities to increase the skill base in Indonesia.
Okay, and Jerry, while we're still with you, there is a question dedicated to you, Jerry, to Ericsson. So the question is, what are other benefits of Ericsson proposed transmission solution?
Yeah, it depends which transmission solution you're talking about. So there are variants of that. I think I mean, if we look at the obviously the sort of 5G solution itself, which is the the air interface will be able to carry huge amounts of data at very high speed, with very low latency. So if you look at something like gaming, which is very popular in this country, it'll mean that do people need to have very sophisticated computers? Will they be able to move to much simpler terminals, whereby the intelligence is held at the edge of the network? So and there are so many variants of this. And then if we look at the transmission networks that will be needed to support. Obviously, moving huge amounts of data around the country, again, as Dini referred to, with the initiatives that the government has taken, with the the fiber optic rings being built around Indonesia. This is super important, because in the end, all of this data that will be on the handsets or on mobile devices will need to be backhauled, by fiber optic network. And sometimes by microwave and by other means. So we have a range of solution, and there are partner companies that we work with as well, that we work with to sort of provide these sorts of solutions.
Okay, thank you, Jerry, and Pak Agung already offering you something that you might want to go pursue later on.
I'm sure we will.
Okay.
Please, President University are welcome to have your visits. Yeah.
Nice, Pak Agung. Thank you, Pak Agung. And I think with that last question, we can conclude our second topics on our big topic and related with infrastructure, telco infrastructure to support the development of Industry 4.0. And all the six prominent speakers mentioning a lot of very valuable concept, a lot of very valuable input, but I highlighted there are three words that being said frequently by each speaker. The first one is collaboration, obviously, right? And then the second one is the creation of the ecosystem itself, because there is no way we can implement the whole concept without realizing that we need the whole ecosystem. Okay, the concept of Silicon Valley is not going anywhere if only relying on technology itself, right? So we need to have the complete ecosystem. And the last one, and being highlighted as well, in related with availability of skilled labor, right? So talent is still challenging up until now, right? Skilled labor, talent is still challenging. And I think that's the part where myself in the academic areas, and also probably one of the foot of Pak Agung in the academic area, also have some responsibility in that one, right? To provide more talent or more skilled labor on that one. So with that, thank you to all the speakers for your time and for being able to attend this event and sharing your knowledge. Hopefully, this is only like the first opportunity for us. We can create another opportunity later on to collaborate more and how to make what has been discussed today, and we can realize it sooner than later for the betterment of Indonesia, obviously. Okay, thank you all. And with that, I'm handing.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Yonto. Thank you,
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Stay safe and take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Please stay in touch and hope to see you again.
Yes.
Thank you, Pak Yulianto, both for that excellent conclusion of the discussions and for your excellent moderating along the way. And thank you to all panelists for coming, joining us today, sharing your insights and all of your perspectives. We've been following the discussions from backstage here, and it is clear that there are plenty of topics for us to continue to collaborate on. All right then. This concludes our discussions on the SISP Industry 4.0 Alliance for this time. We look forward to continue working with industry stakeholders to accelerate the digitalization and modernization of the manufacturing industry in Indonesia.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends, colleagues, we have now come to the end of this second Sweden-Indonesia Sustainability Partnership Week. The week has showcased several new possibilities for collaboration on our joint contribution towards a sustainable development and the Agenda 2030. Through networking and new business collaborations, SISP has shown how Swedish companies and agencies can contribute with their skills and expertise in sectors such as green recovery and job creation, smart transportation, renewable energy, blue economy, and Industry 4.0. In all these areas, we have strengthened the long-standing relationship between Sweden and Indonesia. Sweden stands ready to support Indonesia in its endeavors and to be a partner in its G20 presidency in order to recover better, recover stronger.
And similar to last year, we will summarize the key points for continued collaboration based on this week's discussions. We'll do this in a list of 10 prioritized projects for the year to come. To begin with, we will continue the work to enable the introduction of digital airport tower technology to Indonesia. This is a program that has the potential to be a catalyst for economic growth and tourism development of remote areas. And we all agree on the potential of the technology, and now we have a clear understanding of what actions are needed to move the project forward. Secondly, for the electrification of Jakarta's bus system, Sweden has, through Swedfund, promised to support with a study on how to realize this ambitious vision. During the week, we discussed potential use for the study, and we have agreed now to meet up soon with Transjakarta and decide on a specific scope.
Given the wide range of innovative technologies from Swedish businesses, we have agreed to build a showroom in Jakarta where Indonesian stakeholders can meet Swedish solution providers and get a hands-on experience on innovative technologies that can benefit Indonesia. We also have agreed to work together on developing the roadmap for blue economy in Indonesia, so it is ready for the G20 meeting at the end of next year. This is the fourth item of the list. The SISP Renewable Energy Alliance with Swedish solution providers of hydropower, geothermal, solar power and energy transmission has been launched, and we will work to develop specific projects where their solutions can support the ambitious energy transformation goals of Indonesia. According to number 6 on the list, Sweden has decided to, through Swedfund, provide funding for a power grid quality study in Java to support the preparations for the upcoming green energy transformation.
And today, the SISP Industry 4.0 Alliance was launched, and we will now work together with industry stakeholders to increase the international competitiveness of Indonesia's manufacturing industry. As number 8 on the list is the new capital of Indonesia. Here, the planning has moved forward, and we have agreed to work together to support the development of a smart and sustainable new city. Several waste-to-energy projects in West Java have been launched, and we now have a concrete plan for how to move them forward. And finally, next week, we will host the SISP Annual Healthcare Forum that will set the scene for our continued collaboration in the healthcare sector.
With SISP, we are creating new opportunities for both our countries. Team Sweden, the Swedish Embassy and Business Sweden, with the support of the Indonesian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, look forward following up the outcomes of the week to deepen and broaden our relations even further. We thank you for the privilege of hosting SISP 2021. We thank you all for invaluable contributions, and we look forward to jointly strengthen the Sweden-Indonesia sustainability partnership for the years to come. Thank you.
Terima kasih.